Good morning and welcome everyone to the 4th California Broadband Council meeting of 2025. My name is Jared Johnson, the Deputy State CIO and Chief Deputy Director of the Department of Technology, chairing today's California Broadband Council on behalf of the State CIO, Leanna Bailey Crimmins. Today's meeting is the Council's 4th meeting of the year. As you know, the Broadband for All program consists of several different coordinated initiatives and efforts aimed at closing the digital divide and fostering digital equity throughout California. As we've done in previous 4th quarter California Broadband Council meetings, the focus of today's meeting will be a year in review of our collective accomplishments and progress this past year. We will look ahead during Council Member Showcase, which will feature emerging and upcoming efforts by Council member entities that are or will shortly be contributing to the non-infrastructure goals of Broadband for All. And we will hear about an exciting program during the Community Spotlight. I'd like to thank Covered California and their staff for supporting today's meeting. And Ms. Nguyen, will you start with roll call and review the meeting housekeeping items?
Thank you. Good morning, council members and members of the public. Please announce your presence as your name is called. Chief Deputy Director Johnson from California Department of Technology.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Houck from California Public Utilities Commission.
Present.
Thank you. Deputy Director Yarbrough from the California Governor's Office of Emergency Services.
Here.
Thank you. Deputy Superintendent Nicely from the California Department of Education.
Here.
Thank you. Chief Deputy Director Kenny from the Department of General Services.
Present.
Thank you. Undersecretary Hacker from the California State Transportation Agency.
Here.
Thank you. Ms. McPeak from the California Emerging Technology Fund.
Present.
Thank you. Deputy Secretary Flores from the California Department of Food and Agriculture. Mr. Chisholm from the California State Library.
Present.
Thank you. Mr. Park from the Governor's Office of Tribal Affairs.
Present.
Thank you. Senator Becker and Assemblymember Gibson. Chief Deputy Director, we have quorum to begin. Now, housekeeping items for council members and members of the public. This meeting is being recorded. We will post a recording of this meeting, slides, and transcript to the Broadband for All portal. Attendees, please note that there is time allocated at the end of the meeting for public comments, either in person, via Zoom, phone, and read-through of public comments sent via email submitted prior to the meeting. Presenters, please cue Amanda to advance your slides. Committee members, please use your raise your hand feature on Zoom or raise your hand in person to notify Chief Deputy Director Johnson to call on you to speak. You'll see online that there's the best viewing experience is side-by-side speaker view when PowerPoints are shared. Closed captioning is available on Zoom, and please, again, use your hand raise on Zoom *9 if called in by phone. Chief Deputy Director Johnson, we can begin.
Thank you, Ms. Nguyen. We have a full agenda today, beginning with an executive report by Deputy Director Scott Adams. The Broadband for All year in review will include multiple sub-agenda items. You will hear about the Broadband Action Plan, Middle Mile Broadband Initiative, and the CPUC Last Mile programs. We will look ahead during a council member showcase, which will feature emerging and upcoming efforts that are or will shortly be contributing to the non-infrastructure goals of Broadband for All. The member showcase will feature presentations from the California Public Utilities Commission on Lifeline Home Broadband Pilot Program, California Department of Technology on Digital ID, California Emerging Technology Fund on Digital Learn and California Green Tech Initiative, and the Department of Education on Artificial Intelligence in K-12 schools. For today's Community Spotlight, Board President Matt Rantanen of Waska-Wewin will share the impactful work of tribal broadband boot camps to empower tribal nations to develop and manage their own networks. Next, you will hear a staff recommendation on next year's work focus and meeting schedule. And finally, as Ms. Nguyen alluded to earlier, there will be an opportunity for public comments before closing. Would any of the council members like to make brief opening comments? There are none. The first order of business, let's begin with the executive report. Deputy Director of Office of Broadband and Digital Literacy, Scott Adams.
Thank you, Chief Deputy Johnson, and good morning, members of the council and the public. It's my pleasure to give a brief update on the work of the Office of Broadband and Digital Literacy since we last met. Next slide, please. So I'm pleased to report that our office continues to monitor and track progress on all of the Broadband for All programs, including the implementation of the Broadband for All Action Plan, the MMBI, the CPUC Last Mile programs, and excited that this year in review is going to show and demonstrate much progress by all entities. As the Chief Deputy Director Johnson shared, we've put together a really exciting member showcase. There's a ton of good work that members of this council are conducting, and we think it's critical for using this as place as a forum for those efforts to be shared and acknowledged. In terms of identifying the community spotlight, connectivity in tribal lands is absolutely critical to Broadband for All. So really excited about the presentation from Wasco. We went on their tribal broadband boot camps. We have, an update since the last meeting on the digital equity plan. Of course, we mentioned that the Digital Equity Act programs were terminated, but we have a solid plan moving forward on how we can implement that digital equity plan and make progress still with our existing staff and resources. And so we're feeling we're on solid ground. In terms of stakeholder engagement, we have conducted monthly stakeholder briefings with our digital equity ecosystem partners and continue to have numerous listening sessions and meetings along the way on how we can continue to improve and refine our work. And so if we move to the next slide. I know this is a slide we've all seen and been familiar with, but we just wanted to bring this back to both the council and to the members of the public that this is really the North Star of Broadband for All. And despite the fact that some of the federal programs have been terminated, Broadband for All remains strong and it's moving forward. And thanks to members of this council and the ecosystem, we've got a lot done this last year and look forward to much progress in the following year. Next slide, please. And so speaking of North Stars, we also wanted to share this slide right here that, the goals of Broadband for All that were laid out in this council's Broadband for All action plan and further carried over into the digital equity plan remain the same. And that's that all Californians have high performance broadband available at home, schools, libraries, and businesses, that all Californians have access to affordable broadband and necessary devices, and that all Californians can access training and support to enable digital inclusion. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Do any council members have questions? Ms. McPeak?
I just again want to compliment you, Mr. Chair, and Mr. Adams and the team and the department for the rigorous focus on every month, or I guess it's every quarter, these update reports on the action plan. I think that discipline is very, very important in trying to keep our eye on the ball.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, so we will move to the Broadband for All year in review. First up, I'd like to welcome back Deputy Director Scott Adams. To begin the Broadband for All updates, we will also hear from Deputy Director Mark Monroe on our Middle Mile Broadband Initiative progress, and also Commissioner Darcy Hauk on Last Mile programs. We will begin with Mr. Scott Adams.
Thank you, Chair. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned in my opening remarks, the Broadband for All Action Plan is really the North Star um, for this council as it was developed, I guess now 5 years ago. Wanted to report out that as we have done over the last several years, 18 of the 24 action items have been reported as being complete, but we are committed to both monitoring and refreshing the work that's done on those action items because it's a fluid and dynamic state and things are always changing and evolving. We also reported out early this year on long-term action items. What we wanted to do is highlight 5 specific action items where there was significant progress. And this is a combination of both already completed items and items that have been determined long-term and open items. So the first is on action item 6, which is permitting. A number of the members of this council and stakeholders developed a local jurisdiction broadband permitting playbook. This year, that was revised and reiterated. It's now in the 3rd version to help support local jurisdictions prepare for local broadband deployment and infrastructure projects. The next item to report on, I'm just going to mention this, action item 12 is the Lifeline program. As the chair mentioned, you'll be hearing from the CPUC about a very exciting standalone broadband pilot that the commission approved, I believe, in late August of this year. So tremendous progress made there. On action item 18, which was really to establish or expand the multi-layered digital inclusion network of stakeholders here in California. Due to the continued engagement of members of this council, that network is now up to 12,000 plus entities and individuals that are tracking and committed to closing the digital divide here in California. The next item I'd mention, action item 19, was an action item that was determined a long-term action item, but you heard from the PUC last year that they have updated their interactive broadband map so that the serviceable locations are aligned with federal maps and practices, which is quite a big accomplishment. And then lastly, action item 21, the California Broadband for All portal, which was really something that CDT was directed to do to develop a central repository of information, resources, and tools for the ecosystem on Broadband for All efforts. It is in a constant state of expansion. Some things that we would point out that occurred this year is that we created a digital equity resource finder and put that up on the portal earlier this year. We used it extensively for the California Digital Equity subgrant program, and although that was the federal funding was terminated, it served as a critical hub to put public comment in our application portal. And I think lastly, something that's occurred in the last week or so is that our team working with the Middle Mile Broadband Initiative team and ODS has integrated the Middle Mile Broadband Initiative website into the Broadband for All portal now. So they're no longer separate websites. So that is my report, and just very happy and want to acknowledge the hard work of all the individuals and entities that got this done.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. And for those who don't know, ODS refers to the Office of Digital Services at the California Department of Technology. So we can take member questions or comments now, or if we'd like to get through Mr. Monroe's update and Commissioner Houck's update, we can hold comments to the end. I'll defer to the panel for preference. Okay, then next up, we have Deputy Director Mark Monroe with an update on our Middle Mile Broadband Initiative.
All right, thank you very much. Good morning, Chair and members. Mark Monroe, Deputy Director for the Middle Mile Broadband Initiative here at CDT. We appreciate the opportunity to provide an update this morning on the progress of CDT and its partners in 2025. If I want to jump to the next slide, well, briefly here, CDT and its partners continue to make progress on the network of the more than 8,000 miles that is planned for the network. 4,351 miles have gone to construction to date. And of these, almost 3,000 miles have been actually completed. Now, just as a reminder, I always want to note that this progress relative to miles is in reference to the fiber installation component. It includes conduit, fiber, pole vaults, and the pole vaults that are located every half mile. And this is significant progress since this construction work is the costliest and most time-intensive part of the project, but it isn't the only part. In order for the network to be fully functional, we need to complete the hubs, which include a fabricated hut, electronics, a utility connection, and a backup generator with a separate fuel tank. The hub is centered around the electronics, which carry the signal along the network. So obviously, until the hubs are complete, we won't be able to start serving communities as intended. But the installation of these miles is still the bulk of the work, and we are now about 37% done with this stage of the project. And regarding the hubs, in the past few weeks, I'll note we've also completed our first 11 hubs along the Digital 395 route in the Eastern Sierras. These hubs will provide the first broadband service on the state's network. If you want to go to the next slide. These first 11 hubs, again, along Digital 395, will support the 423-mile segment we purchased from the California Broadband Collective. Starting first quarter of 2026, CDT will begin providing service along this route as part of the state's network. This will actually be the first operational segment of the MMBI network. And then last week, we also released our RFP for an operator. As I hope most of you are tracking, a number of the CPUC's FFA grant awardees will be connecting to the MMBI network, and CDT is working with these awardees to coordinate where and how to connect. And we are also working with the awardees as they refine their estimated completion dates to determine when they'll need to connect to the state's middle mile network. Some plan to be ready to connect as early as July of 2026. So we are working to have the necessary segments of the network completed and operational in time to serve these communities. To do this, we will need to have an operator on board. So if we go to the next slide. All right. When we talk about the operator, this will be the entity that is really operating and maintaining the network for us. They'll be monitoring the network 24/7, managing network engineering, connection of customers and customer service. They'll be tasked with maintaining the electronics and making any repairs to the network that are needed. In terms of kind of the time frame for that, as we see in October, the RFP was released. Initial proposals are expected in December, and then we'll be evaluating those proposals in January through April, with the plan to select an operator in April. And all of that is so that we can get the operator onboarded and begin operating in July of next year for the segments that are needed to serve the FFA grant awardees. And then just as a note down below, you're seeing the slide there, we're continuing our current effort to start marketing and selling the fiber and the access to the network. If you want to go to the next slide. The partnerships, I mean, when we look at the way we've been able to develop this network, partnerships make up about 95% of the network. And so this past year, we've continued to expand these. In the past, I think I've talked about the LA Bureau of Street Lighting, the 13-mile segment we have with them, going through a really historically underserved area in LA. Gateway Cities Council of Governments, we have a partnership that we signed with them, 74 miles. It's part of their FFA grant project, and as well as Fort Bragg, the 4 miles there, a 4-mile segment there where we're sharing construction costs. And most recently, we've signed a contract or expanded our contract with American Dark Fiber to actually do the construction on these 3 components. Similarly, we see here we've continued to work on government-to-government relationships and partnerships. We list here the 3 that we've signed this year with the Karuk tribe, 46 miles up in the northern northwest corner of the state. The Toloidi Ni Nation. Also, we signed an IRU lease agreement to build and lease from them up in the same area. And then we also signed an agreement with the Coyote Valley Band of Pomo Indians for a lease of land there to locate one of the hubs I was talking about. And we are still in active negotiations with 3 additional for 3 additional of these partnerships. If we can go to the next slide. All right. So again, you can see here that of the more than 8,000 miles, more than 4,700 miles have been permitted, just shy of 60%. And of these, 4,351 miles have gone to construction. And as previously noted, 37% of the fiber installation has already been completed. And also as noted, the next key step is installation of the hubs. So if we go to the next slide here. I kind of just wanted to review the full network will have 139 hubs, one roughly every 50 miles or so to carry the signals. Of these, as noted, the first 11 have been completed along Digital 395. And as Caltrans completes design and permit packages, CDT is starting construction on more of these HUDs. In fact, I think one of them is being installed today up in the Sierras. This last quarter of 2025 and the first 3 quarters of 2026, we'll see the installation of all of the remaining hubs. And if we jump to the next slide, we'll just briefly cover here. This past quarter, we've joined partners at milestone events across the state. We have a partnership with Vero that we were able to celebrate up in Samoa for the 24 miles we're building with them, up in Klamath with Waitel and the Yurok tribe for that 50-mile partnership, up in Humboldt County with the Hoopa Valley tribe and their public utilities district for the 23-mile partnership. And then down in Southern California with the Gateway Cities Council of Governments and the partnership there with their FFA project that I spoke of earlier. And then also with the LA Bureau of Streetlights for the 13-mile section that goes down through Los Angeles there. At each of these events, we enjoyed spending time with the community advocates, the construction workers, the local business owners, and the dedicated city council members, educators, and others that they're really sharing with us the power of community and what they've been able to achieve there. And then lastly, I think we're all tracking the federal shutdown of the more than 1,000 miles that of the network that do cross federal land. There's 693 miles that are still in various stages of permitting from federal agencies. Since the beginning of the project, CDT has been very intentional about building relationships with the federal permitting partners. Since the shutdown, we've been reaching out, trying to assess which agencies might still be functioning in limited capacities. The U.S. Forest Service, Bureau of Land Management, and the Bureau of Land Reclamation have all continued to function, at least in part, with either at the regional level or at the headquarters level, but usually not both. And some of them they're still trying to figure out how long they'll be able to operate with the shutdown and kind of when their individual budgets run out. So we'll continue to monitor as the shutdowns continue, but this does grow as a risk as long as the shutdown continues. That ends my update for this year's progress on the MMBI project as part of California's Broadband for All effort. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Monroe. So next, we will go to our last mile program updates from Commissioner Hauk from the CPUC.
Thank you. So I'm really pleased to be here today to provide an update on our last mile programs associated with the multi-year broadband investments in Senate Bill 156, as well as other related efforts and areas that the PUC has been addressing involving broadband over the last year. Please go to the next slide. So this slide shows different programs that the Commission's charged with delivery of. These programs basically fund broadband services across California, and they're meeting critical needs of the state. And particularly, many of these programs are funding access to broadband for historically underserved communities. This table provides a snapshot update of the broadband-related programs the Commission oversees. The programs include our Broadband Equity, Access, and Deployment, or BEAD. And just as a refresher, this is a $1.86 billion federal program from the Infrastructure Investment Jobs Act being implemented by the Federal National Telecommunications and Information Administration, or NTIA. And I'll talk more about BEAD on another slide in just a minute. The next program listed here is our California Advanced Services Fund, or CASF, which is a suite of broadband grant programs. The Commission approved the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget allocation for our CASF program in Resolution T17884, and the allocations include $30 million for adoption, roughly $10 million for consortia program. Our line extension program received just over $1 million. Our infrastructure account, just over $60 million. The public housing program, roughly $30 million. The tribal technical assistance program, $4.5 million, for a total of roughly $136 million. The next item here is our loan loss reserve program. This program supports public entity bond financing and for broadband projects, providing a risk enhancement. The Commission awarded $50 million through the program earlier this year to Golden State Connect Authority. A staff proposed draft resolution was published last Friday, formalizing the list of projects and bond terms that the Commission will vote on. It's anticipated that vote will occur at our November 20th meeting, and the resolution is currently available for public comment if anyone's interested in reviewing that. And there will be more information on that as we get to the end of November. The federal funding account is a program that supports reliable last mile broadband infrastructure in every county of the state. This multi-year funding program represents comprehensive one-time investments implementing the vision of the Broadband for All initiative. And the Commission held 2 rounds of applications for this program, the first of which has been awarded. The second application window closed in June of this year, and the Commission is currently evaluating round 2 applications for awards. So go to the next slide, please. So this slide highlights the awarded infrastructure projects that are now coming to fruition and being placed in the ground. These events have taken place since the last California Broadband Council meeting in July. These pictures document the historic once-in-a-generation investment in deployment of critical telecommunications infrastructure across the state. And I want to underscore that many of these projects are serving historically disadvantaged or underinvested communities, and want to also just really note and thank all of the partners here that sit on this council, our partner CDT. I think almost every agency and entity that's part of this council has played some role in the success of getting these projects in the ground. So it's not just aspirational anymore. We're really putting the fiber in the ground. The blue symbols on the map represent groundbreaking events for new construction projects, and there have been several groundbreaking events for the new construction of federal funding account and statewide middle mile projects, and we just heard some of the middle mile projects. These events have taken place in Humboldt County to the north, Fresno County in the heart of the Central Valley, and all the way down to Compton in Southern California. The bold section headers here are the grantees whose construction projects were celebrated at these events. The projects include the city of Placerville, which held an event for the Placerville Broadband Project, federal funding account in El Dorado County. The city of Chico celebrated the construction of their city-owned fiber, whose project locations are predominantly in low-income areas of Butte County. Next, we're pleased to highlight the Hoopa Valley Tribe's groundbreaking ceremony in Humboldt County. Hoopa Valley Public Utility District and the state entered into the first ever tribal state middle mile broadband joint build program. So Congratulations to CDT on getting that completed. And finally, AT&T celebrated their grant, which builds upon grants from the local agency technical assistance program with both the city and county of Fresno. And I had the honor of attending that event. And the PUC and our attended many of these last mile groundbreaking events. And I want to go to the next slide, which includes some images from the events. So on the top left photo with the shovels, this is the city of Placerville. Community leaders celebrated the start of the construction for the first phase of the city's open access fiber optic broadband project. This milestone will offer reliable internet to over 2,100 currently unserved residents and businesses. The image on the bottom left with the bright yellow vest shows the city of Chico representatives attending the North Valley Fiber Project groundbreaking ceremony. This fiber network is enhancing municipal services and emergency response technology for next generation applications while connecting the community as well. The two middle pictures are from the Fresno County celebration, where the commission joined AT&T and community partners to celebrate their fiber project expansion. I'm in the middle photo talking about how this project is going to be serving 12,000 Californians. And the other photo right below that is representing and showing some of the students. AT&T and Human IT distributed 150 laptops and backpacks filled with school supplies to students and families through the Boys and Girls Club of East Fresno. And then finally, the image on the far right shows our communications division staff joining other state and tribal leaders on the Hoopa Valley Tribes Reservation to celebrate the construction of nearly 23 miles of high-capacity middle-mile broadband infrastructure along California Route 96. The steep terrain, dense forest, and wildfire damage have made wireless service unreliable in many areas. And so installing the underground fiber is going to provide more resilient and dependable solutions to communication efforts. Go to the next slide, which I think is the last slide. I know there's a lot of information here. Or no, there's one more slide after this, sorry. This is their Broadband Equity Access and Deployment, or BEAD program. So to provide an update here, and this one has been somewhat of a moving target, as many of you know. On June 6, 2025, the National Telecommunications Information Administration issued a restructuring policy notice to implement programmatic changes to the BEAD program. In response to this programmatic notice, the Commission revised the program, and it's now referred to BEAD 2.0, which included additional pre-qualification and application windows. With NTIA's approval to extend the final proposal submission date, we now have a final deadline of November 21st, 2025 to submit our final proposal to NTIA. And with this additional time, we are further maximizing competition and the reduction of cost through a second round of benefit of the bargain competitive bidding and negotiations for the priority broadband projects. The table here on the right shows the updated dates for the BEAD program. The top of the table shows the most recent pre-qualification application window, which was September 16th to October 2nd. The benefit of the bargain round application window was opened from September 25th to October 3rd to solicit applications for eligible project area units that did not receive priority during that first round. And we're currently reviewing those applications and finalizing a draft final proposal to issue for public comment. The bottom of the table is the deadline again for our final proposal, which to NTIA next month, which is Friday, November 21st. And we're anticipating voting on a resolution that will be published soon at our November 20th voting meeting. If you want additional information, please look at our website or sign up for our BEAD updates. Things are moving very fast, but I just want to commend our staff for all of their hard work. We're on track to meet our deadline and looking forward to getting that final proposal into NTIA. Okay, next slide. This is the last slide. So finally, I wanted to use this year in review to share some information about some of our other achievements in the area of communications that we don't typically provide quarterly updates on. These include issuing our first ever service quality standards for voice over internet protocols, or VoIP providers, And in that same rulemaking, we updated our service quality rules for POTS providers as well. We issued a proposed decision recently that, if adopted, will update the rules of our three sub-accounts of the California Advanced Services Fund, including launching 3 tribal broadband consortia, expanding eligibility for line extension programs, and streamlining reporting for the adoption account. We've spent this year reviewing the proposed Verizon Frontier merger, which I won't say more about given ex parte rules do apply to that proceeding. We have held public participation hearings soliciting feedback on a staff proposal that was issued that is proposing to revise the deaf and disabled telephone program, which envisions bringing this program into the era of smartphones and broadband, which is really exciting. This is going to be a huge positive change for providing services to the deaf and disabled community. We have held workshops developing a record on the role of our of broadband in our carrier of last resort rulemaking proceeding. We've also been evaluating our Lifeline program and adopted a Lifeline pilot program, which you are going to hear more about from Director Rob Osborne in just a little bit. And those are some of the highlights of what we've been doing in regards to our communications over the last year. So I want to thank everyone, and available for any questions. And we have Rob here as well.
Thank you, Commissioner Hauk. And I also just want to thank again Deputy Director Adams, Deputy Director Monroe for your updates. I think it's always nice to remind ourselves that these programs work hand in hand together. They're intertwined, and to reach the ultimate goal of what we're trying to do for the state of California and the residents, it requires all three. And I have the privilege of working alongside the teams that are doing this work. And to see the dedication and the passion, and especially in the face of challenges, there are unexpected challenges, and the teams are very resilient at finding solutions and continuing the excellent progress that you hear about in these meetings. So just want to say thank you to all of those folks that are involved here at the dais and at the table, and those behind the scenes that are working tirelessly every day to make that progress. With that, I'd like to open it up to council members for comments or questions. Ms. McPeak.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, may I commend you and underscore what you just said about how the moving parts all have a role in adding to the whole and working together. So I think that's very important for us to keep in mind. I have two comments and then a question. First, to Mr. Adams, I want to thank you for acknowledging the importance of permit streamlining in the delivery of both middle mile and last mile projects, and acknowledge that the Department of Technology had, when Maria Kelly was still there, now at the PUC, attend 3 meetings of our best practices checklist that had 12 consortia and 35 local governments. And so that was very important. And I acknowledge that we have Trish Kelly, who leads the Connected Capital Area Broadband Consortium, and Liliana Monch is out of the room right now, from Los Angeles Digital Equity Action League, so LA Deal, who have taken your playbook and the work that was then done by the Southern California Association of Governments and the San Diego Association of Governments, and held their own workshops locally with their local governments. So that's very important, but it's all worked together, as Deputy Director Johnson just said. And Commissioner Hauk, thank you for acknowledging all the hard work of everybody working together, and your focus on the California Advanced Services Fund, the role of regional broadband consortia, and the proposed decision on adding BEAD to their role. They have a really important interface on behalf of the state, on behalf of you, the Public Utilities Commission, and the Department of Technology, and working locally. So that's important. Now to my question. Mr. Monroe, I don't want to leave you out. I noticed and appreciate the update on the 11 huts on 395. So my question is, with those 11, is now there a standardized design of huts that Undersecretary Hacker can rely on to take to Caltrans, and that we can get the rest of the huts designed? I'm really anxious to hear that.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Given Digital 395 and the fact that we were able to purchase it, a number of the huts and some of the infrastructure there came along with it. So I think we have always envisioned and worked towards designing a standard hut model. And so along Digital 395, I think we were able to largely stick to that. But I think where there might be challenges that I think we're still working on is in some of the other areas of the state. So we've always pursued a standard version of the huts because if you can do 139 of the same thing 139 times, it's going to be streamlined and faster. And that's always been our intent. And so our team is working with the Caltrans team. Caltrans is designing 107 of those huts. And so as they design them, we're working on how can we make sure that they are as cookie cutter as possible to streamline the process and the timing, as well as limit cost.
Okay, thank you for that very kind and diplomatic answer. I do want to report that the California Emerging Technology Fund has a founding director who's actually our treasurer and CFO, Rich Mata, who attends all the MMAC, so the Middle Mile Initiative Advisory Committee meetings, and has reported back to our board the increasing collaboration with all of the administration agencies. We just need to keep that focus up, according to Mr. Mata.
Thank you, Ms. McPeak. Any other members have comments or questions? Commissioner Houck?
I just really want to underscore again the coordination and collaboration among the agencies. I think we work very siloed in many respects on different things. And this whole effort has just been a tremendous collaboration between multiple state agencies, local, tribal governments, CBOs, community members, and just the results, we're seeing them happen. And so it's just really tremendous to be part of this and to be able to see all of the efforts coming to fruition. So just really want to underscore that and thank all of the staff that have worked on it from all the different agencies, the local governments, all the consortia folks, and all of the communities that have really stepped up to make all of this happen.
Thank you. I agree. We're able to highlight a lot of the major accomplishments and noteworthy items here at the California Broadband Council meeting. But there are so many other things, interactions, collaborations, the work behind the scenes that happens on a daily basis that goes into making these things possible for us to share here. And so I just want to echo what you say, and kudos to all the agencies and departments, local communities and entities that participate and collaborate, and the staff behind the scenes that are doing the work. It would not be done without them. And I think it's important to acknowledge that as well. If I could also just mention two folks, as Ms. McPeak alluded to, every quarter, typically the week before the California Broadband Commission, we have the Middle Mile Advisory Committee, which is also a public meeting, and that provides a bit more of an in-depth look at what we're doing on the Middle Mile Broadband Initiative. And if you're interested in that, the meetings are recorded, they're available online, and you can also look for those on our website when the upcoming meetings are scheduled, and you can attend those if you're interested in more information about what Mr. Monroe presented today. Okay, thank you. With that, next on our agenda will be a member showcase from various California Broadband Council partner organizations, including CPUC, CDT, CETF, and the California Department of Education. They're going to highlight some exciting work that is on track during the year. There will be time at the end of the member showcase for member questions and comments, similar to what we just did. So if you would like to hold your questions, you're able to. If something important or urgent comes up immediately following a particular presentation, we can also pause there. But again, if we want to hold until the end and go through all the updates, that would be helpful. And so with that, we are going to welcome back Deputy Director Scott Adams to begin our member showcase updates.
Thank you, Chair Johnson, for allowing me to just briefly tee up the member showcase, but turn it over to the folks who are going to present on exciting work. Is we said at the top of the, Broadband for All has 3 goals. And when the Affordable Connectivity Program expired, the focus on broadband adoption and affordability kind of fell off. And there's been a focus appropriately on the great work on deploying broadband infrastructure, both on the middle mile and the CPUC last mile programs. I do acknowledge that the adoption account focuses on goals 2 and 3, but what we wanted to do with this showcase is specifically focus on work that council members were doing that work towards goals number 2 and 3, so that all Californians have access to affordable broadband and necessary devices, and that all Californians can access training and support to enable digital inclusion. And so that was the context behind the showcase, and I'll hand it over to Rob Osborne.
Thank you. I'm Rob Osborne, Director of the Broadband Consumer Programs and Carrier Oversight at the California Public Utilities Commission. That's in the Communications Division. Before I go into my presentation, just to provide a bit of DNA about how the home broadband pilot came about. As Scott alluded to, there was the Affordable Connectivity Program, which ended in June 2024 as congressional funding ran out. Prior to that, we had the Emergency Broadband Benefit, which was a $50 a month subsidy for income qualified households for broadband. That ended and was transitioned into the Affordable Connectivity Program. In June 2023, the Public Utilities Commission approved an ACP Affordable Connectivity Program pilot, which allowed certain broadband providers who are participating in California Lifeline to combine the $30 ACP subsidy with a $17.90 state subsidy for Lifeline, in addition to the federal Lifeline $9.25 subsidy. So that was just over $57 of subsidy. That program had moderate success. We saw primarily wireless providers participating in that program. When ACP ended, that pilot also ended. And since then, there have been efforts both in the PUC and among stakeholders and the legislature to find a solution for income qualified households. Credit to the California Emerging Technology Fund for convening a series of in-person meetings beginning late last year to try and figure out a solution for the state. Those culminated in a series of efforts, one of which in April, the commission issued a ruling through President Reynolds to ask what would a pilot look like for California Lifeline to offer standalone home broadband service. That's sort of the basis of where we came from. If we go to the next slide, just a brief overview of California Lifeline. So the program provides discounted home phone and cell phone service to qualified households. The target population we estimate is roughly 4.3 million households. As of today, we have 1.8 million, the majority of which are on wireless. There are still some wireline customers. The eligibility, there's 2 ways to qualify. One is through income qualification, which is 150% of the federal poverty guideline, but the majority of participants qualified through other programs such as CalFresh, Medicaid, Medi-Cal, WIC, et cetera. That accounts for 92% of the enrollment. The budget approved for the program is $528 million. That's composed of local assistance and state operations. The local assistance goes toward providing that monthly subsidy. We rely on a third-party administrator to help us administer that program. And partnerships, we have 2 primary partnerships right now, one with the Department of Social Services for CalFresh. That partnership has yielded significant cost savings for the program to allow us to renew up to 80% of participants automatically, so they don't have to submit paperwork every year to stay in the program. And we're working with Medi-Cal right now to implement an auto renewal program. 2 major decisions. First was establishing, in recent history, establishing a foster youth program in 2024. And what I'll go into next is the home broadband pilot, which was approved this past August. Next slide, please. So the subsidy amount for the program that was approved, the pilot, is $20 per month for broadband service and $30 for bundled wireline and voice service. It could be wireless as well. There's also a reimbursement up to $39 once per year. Excuse me. That is to cover connection and equipment. And then the minimum service standards, this is important because we didn't have this in the Affordable Connectivity Program. And this is something, because this is a state program, we are able to define some minimum standards of 100 megabits per second down and 20 up, with a minimum data usage allowance of 1,280 gigabytes per month. This is critical because we're designing this as a home broadband service, and that can be provided over wireline or wireless. It's technology neutral, but the key point is it's a home service. And then there's exceptions for the 120 minimum service standard where it's not feasible or where an existing program is already in place. And then next slide, please. So we're really targeting existing ISPs, internet service providers. We're also interested in bringing in new participants, grantees for the federal funding account, for the California Advanced Services Fund, and potentially also video providers who are offering broadband. Some of the challenges we have right now, so we have in bringing in non-traditional lifeline providers, such as ISPs that don't have certificates for public convenience and necessity. We have to figure out a process for them to file advice letters, and then also to file claims electronically. Next steps are system development to basically provide the back end to support program enrollment as well as provider onboarding, develop a process for electronic claims, and then also we'll be issuing a resolution, draft resolution for consideration by the commission that will provide guidance to those providers. And the target launch date is this next January, so pretty soon. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Osborne. Next up, we have from the California Department of Technology, Anabar Sen, who will be providing an overview of the California Digital Identity Framework. Mr. Sen.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to speak on the Digital ID platform and program. My name is Anirban Sen, Senior Product Manager in the Office of Planning and Product Management in the Office of Digital Services at CDT. Next slide, please. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview on what the California Digital ID program is. Our mission is essentially to provide every eligible person with easy, secure, privacy-preserving access to all of California's digital government services. We're built on 4 principles, the first being world-class security. All of the information that's transitioned through our platform is under the governance of the Office of Information Security at the CDT. We're designed with privacy in mind first. We are accessible and equitable for all Californians, and we're built on an open platform with full transparency for anybody that wants to use the platform and even extend it. Next slide, please. When I talk about a digital identity, what am I talking about? There's 2 particular qualities that make up an identity as far as the way we look at it. The first being, I am who I say I am. And the second being, I have a particular attribute that makes me eligible for a benefit or a state program. Those 2 things may come from the same source, or they may come from a number of different sources. The identity platform essentially collates and gathers all of this information at the time that is needed for the Californian to be able to prove that they are eligible for a program. Next slide, please. Well, there's a few advantages to for both the individual Californian as well as for governments. From a individual Californian perspective, you just have a common login for all of these different programs across the state. You don't have to create a login for each different program that you're applying for. And it's also accessible because it's online, it's accessible at any time from any place 24/7. From the government programs perspective, because our platform is interoperable and we have data sharing across multiple data sources, it's replicable from a verification perspective, and you don't need to have a separate login for each state department to verify information on an individual. It's also built so that we're extensible to multiple identity and eligibility providers. So Californians and individual California departments have access to whichever identity and eligibility providers that they need to prove to run their programs. Next slide, please. So what is the California Identity Gateway? It's essentially a CDT developed tool, a platform that helps state agencies streamline that applicant eligibility verification process. We don't store any data inside of our platform. We essentially just connect program departments with identity providers to authenticate applicants and to data providers for those attributes that allow for eligibility. Next slide. There's a number of requirements that we meet in order to run the program. The first, obviously, is it's very expensive and complex for state agencies to verify each applicant individually on their own. So therefore, we provide this statewide service. It also leads to enforcement of data sharing so that multiple state agencies can come to a single point and use us to connect to all of these various data sources across the state. From a individual California perspective, you don't have to go department by department and provide eligibility data to each department. You can just provide it once, and we're able to make these connections. And also from a personally identifiable information perspective, because our platform is secure and we minimize the exposure and data security leakage risk from inconsistent treatment, as opposed to a paper-based process where storage of those individual forms at each agency is essentially a security risk. Next. To date, what we can provide age verification. We can provide whether or not an individual is a veteran, whether or not an individual is a CalFresh recipient, or is a Medicare enrollee, or is permanently disabled. These are based on connections that we have with various data sources and identity providers, and our list of capabilities to prove identities and eligibilities is constantly expanding. Next slide. So the way we proved out in a pilot phase we built an application for the transit Caltrans agency on a program called Cal ITP, the Cal Integrated Transit Project. What you're seeing on the right side of the screen are the service integrations that we have. We have login.gov as the primary identity provider. We've connected with CalFresh, with the Veterans Administration, with Medicare, and we continue to expand, as I said. And what you're seeing on the left side is an actual screen of how an individual would enroll in that transit benefit. The transit benefit being 50% off if you're actually in one of these categories. If you're a Medicare card holder, if you're a senior, if you are enrolled in CalFresh, or if you're a U.S. veteran, we'd be able to seamlessly online prove your eligibility through that platform and give you that discount. And we continue to expand out to other applications as well. The transit benefit is one example. More recently, we've created an application, which is actually on the next slide, for the victims of the LA fires who required replacement birth, death, and marriage certificates or vital records. We were able to in very short order create this ca.gov LA Fire site on which we enabled a seamless application for a replacement birth certificate, death certificate, and marriage certificate through this platform. And because we have this identity gateway, we're not only able to prove the identity of the individual, but also the fact that they were in one of those fire-affected zip codes, and that gave them essentially a free replacement for their birth certificate. Next slide. And here's some feedback from our application that we built, the Vital Records application. 100% of our users were able to complete the process successfully. Our flow was described as faster, easier, and more secure than the current method that CDPH was currently using. And it saved the users days or even weeks waiting for that process to complete. 100% of our users have said that they have high trust in government branded services, including login.gov. With that in mind, I'm going to pause, and that's the end of the presentation on my side.
Thank you, Mr. Sen. We will reserve questions or comments from council members until the end of our updates. Thank you very much for that informative update. Next up, we have Sunny McPeak, the President and CEO of the California Emerging Technology Fund.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If we can go immediately to the next slide. I want to underscore what has become a theme here, really important, the interrelationship of everything we're doing. And I appreciate that Scott and Ann allowed me to keep this slide in, because I want to just show the importance of what you just heard about the pilot project and also digital ID. The Department of Technology and the Digital Equity Plan, the California Emerging Technology Fund, we talk about a digital equity ecosystem. That's more than just a throwaway term. It actually means it's an interrelated network system of services, and they have to be taken in order to optimize the impact of any investment from the public or private. And so the two I'm reporting on today, which is online asynchronous digital learn and the California Green Technology Initiative, will only be as successful as possible if what we do is implement what you just heard first. And so I want to underscore all of that. And acknowledge my colleagues who are here, those who are not, for their work in implementing all of this. Patty Bibby is our Senior Director of Call Center Operations and Partner Engagement, and Samantha Swimley is our Digital Navigator Coordinator. Those two things I'm reporting on also relate to the two goals in the Broadband for All Action Plan and Digital Equity Plan. So it's all connected. I do also want to commend you, Mr. Osborne, on what is the thinking behind the pilot project, because 35.6% of all low-income households who are not online today cite affordability as the primary reason. And while we all know how important ubiquitous deployment is, less than 3% cite the lack of access to the infrastructure. So we have to start with affordability, or we're never going to get everybody online. And the partnerships you've struck with the Department of Social Services, that is absolutely key. I'm glad you're working with the Department of Healthcare Services. This needs to be a lot more customer friendly, and that is exactly what digital ID offers in all of this. So I'm really excited about that whole process. Now, to turn to what I'm reporting on, let's go to the next slide. And this is about the role of online digital literacy learning that is self-paced, which we call asynchronous. And the goal that we've had here, that is actually totally enabled by the Public Utilities Commission approving a public benefits package 6 years ago when T-Mobile acquired Sprint to invest in how to get all their new customers who are signing up for their affordable offer to have access to digital literacy. We actually piloted this with CBOs, and it wasn't cost effective at the time. We then went out and solicited proposals, got several. We partnered with the Public Library Association that has a very good online curricula, but we had to customize because we do not brand any courses with a commercial ISP sponsor. They actually do, and they don't collect data on outcomes, and we insist on it. And so then we worked very closely with PLA in order to establish a companion assessment site. Very important so that we could collect data on proficiency outcomes of the asynchronous learning and compare it to the what we call synchronous, which can be under the PUC's approach, either in person or online, but with a facilitator that is synchronous, real live helping. And so that's why we have gone to this great length. Today, Digital Learn has 100 and, well, we have 29 courses and 130 lessons in English and translated so far, 123 of those courses and 127 of the lessons into Spanish. We're finishing that, or about to now start on Vietnamese, and then develop an AI course that everybody is requesting. So it's continuously evolving. The I think good news about all of this is that with that companion website, and you can see both the Digital Learn platform and the website, we have an incentive for people completing the courses that are recommended as they take their initial assessment, and then not only doing that, but they then do a self-assessment on the proficiency measurement website, take their courses and come back and do a post-assessment. So going to the next slide, so far we have had 4,530 people do their pre-assessment. There is a big lag in doing the courses and the post-assessment, so we have only 330 who have finished. What we're finding, and these are very preliminary, where our goal is to get to 10,000 people actually completing online the assessment, is a comparison of asynchronous to synchronous. So far, which is surprising to me, there's actually similar improvement in proficiency. And we always have this asynchronous as a backup to remind people that we deliver the synchronous to, that you can always augment your learning. Further, everybody who comes through our call center, which is supported by a PUC grant, actually gets referred to, screened for the synchronous, and then reminded about asynchronous. 98% so far. I'm also surprised with these numbers, say it was very helpful or helpful, and 99% plus say they would recommend it. So we're encouraged by this, but we need more data. Now, so you get everybody an affordable offer, you get them signed up online, you get them digitally proficient. Guess what is next? They need a device, because it doesn't help them if they don't have an affordable device. So let's go to the launch of the Green Technology Initiative that happened in June with some very important people here. Again, it's a team effort. It was actually hosted by Valley Vision. Trish is here, and in West Sacramento. The logic here, which is all in the Broadband for All Action Plan, is a win-win. Let's keep as many of the retired computing devices in California not being dismantled or shipped offshore, and refurbish them and get them back into the hands of those households completing the digital literacy training, so that we can save resources that the PUC has for the rest of the work we need to do. And so we have 3 opportunities for we call partners, which are employers, basically, who have a lot of devices, or even a few, that they want to retire. The first is donate to your regional nonprofit refurbisher. Examples are Computers for Classrooms in Chico, Computers for Kids here in the Sacramento Capital Region, Tech Exchange in the Bay Area, Oakland, Human IT in the Los Angeles greater metropolitan area, and San Diego Futures Foundation in San Diego. If you are a very large employer, you have an option to have the service from our partner Reviven, a B Corp, that will pick up everything, they refurbish it, and they resell it. They also, from that, generate a revenue stream for us to buy the refurbished devices with. And then lastly, we have set up a dedicated fund for which financial institutions can get credit for the Community Reinvestment Act. And those together should generate enough money over time if we all pull together. I do want to acknowledge that the Department of General Services has spent a ton of time about, in the last decade working to implement state law on behalf of and under this council. And so we really want to call upon everybody here in order to have a call to action. Now, just going to the next slide, because I want to show all the beautiful people who have participated in that. You'll recognize these folks. In the center is Senior Advisor to Governor Gavin Newsom, Amy Tong, who served as also the Director of the Department of Technology and then the Secretary of Government Operations. And next to her, to the right, is Deputy Director of Communications Division of the PUC, Maria Ellis. And Maria Ellis was there speaking not only on behalf of the PUC, but also on behalf of Commissioner Houck. It was hosted, as I said, by Valley Vision. Evan Schmidt is there to the left of Amy. And then in West Sacramento, so Martha Guerrero is the mayor speaking so eloquently. And on the very right is Representative Doris Matsui's field representative, Erin Jones. So we had those great speakers. But what I want to focus on is the quote from Governor Newsom. You can read it, but what the governor has said is this is exactly the kind of innovation that California is known for. It's what he envisioned in signing the executive order. We want to continue that work. And now lastly, you have to hear at least a few seconds of the most eloquent discussion of the Green Technology Initiative from Director Leanna Bailey Crimmins. It is like the best that we have that we will use in promoting, and then we'll come back and there is a call to action that we've developed in concert with Mr. Adams and his team. But let's play this message from Leanna.
Closing the digital divide is important to all of us. 1 in 5 Californians do not have access to affordable, accessible internet, and California for All means broadband for all. When we think of digital equity and the ability to participate in our communities, it means that we must have access to devices. It means that that access must be affordable and that we're all leaning in.
And you can hear the rest of it. It is great. The whole launch is actually in a highlights video that you can use. All of this is collateral so that, let's go to the call to action, that we hope, Mr. Chair, that every member of the California Broadband Council in all of your unique roles can help pull together again under the umbrella of the council and the Department of Technology. We stand ready to help as a partner in all of this. And while it's not funded as a role for the Regional Broadband Consortium, I do want to acknowledge that Carrie Sinoff is here from Sierra Business Council that hosts the Gold Country Broadband Consortium. They have a really unique role to help us reach the employers in their region to have them participate along with the regional refurbishers and Reviving. Thank you very much for listening to these two pieces, components of the digital equity ecosystem and where it fits in.
Thank you, Ms. McPeak. Next up on our showcases, we are going to go to our Deputy Superintendent Nicely to speak about artificial intelligence in K through 12.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Can you hear me? Just want to make sure everyone can hear me. To Sunny's point, yes, thank you, everyone, for being part of this digital equity work and this ecosystem. I've talked about this for many years, and California public schools are, of course, the recipients and the recipients of all of this amazing partnership and all of this work. And I just want to ensure that you all understand how very, very grateful we are for all of the work that you're doing to keep our kids connected. I think as we did all of our speaking tours, I guess I don't know how many years, it's been 2 years now, that we know that when families are connected, kids are connected. And so all of these programs are very, very exciting. And I do want to be able to make sure that I can follow up on all of these different things that you have all been working on. So what we will be talking to in our first slide here is, of course, okay, somebody else is doing that. Okay, thank you. So as we talk about artificial intelligence in our K-12 schools, of course, if our kids are not connected to broadband, there's our direct connection into here with artificial intelligence and every single aspect of what you've talked about regarding digital identities, regarding asynchronous learning, the AI tools that are being talked about every single day. You know, the cat's out of the bag. We cannot not be working very hard to ensure that our teachers and our students and our communities are brought up to speed as we continue into having AI be part of our everyday lives. So we have been working on this for a number of years. California was the second state by, I think, 6 days to come out with AI guidance. The governor has put out his AI executive order as well. And so we'll talk about a little bit about our guidance. We've had an AI resource kit out for a number of years as well. And last year, the AI working group legislation was passed by Senator Becker, SB 1288. And so I'll give you a little update on where we are on that. So in our next slide, we will talk about our toolkit. And we have had, I can't even remember the number of webinars that we've had on either a weekly or bi-weekly basis on all of the different aspects of AI and how we are working with our school districts across the state to be able to address the many challenges and look at the bright spots that we can have as we work on AI. So of course, number one for us will be the safe use. And I think the digital identity is going to be very important for us as well as we look at student data overall in our longitudinal data systems and all of the connections we have with the other state agencies. So very interested in how we deal with that. The pros and cons of AI, as we look at the capabilities, I think a lot of people are very worried about AI taking their jobs. And we know as we look at and use AI tools ourselves that we can already see deficiencies in that thought that there is there are many biases in AI, but then there are also bright spots that we have to look at as a tool that we cannot overlook. And as Sunny mentioned, that they are even looking at curriculum and artificial intelligence. We've seen that in tutoring programs. We've seen it in our assessments. A lot of work is going into ensuring that the learning models that are being used for artificial intelligence are being produced, and the areas that they're picking up their information from is legitimate. And that we are keeping a close eye as we have passed many pieces of legislation this past year. We have to look at the social impacts as we look at, once again, identity and being able to differentiate between humans and the work that is either for good or for evil, potentially being used through AI. And of course, demystifying artificial intelligence. So that people do not think it is magic. It is still programming. It is still coding. It is not the Terminator coming to get us next week. Next slide. And so just to round out where we are, there was so much interest in our AI working group. There were over 600 applications. We slogged through getting all of those picked out. And I think we have a fantastic AI working group that is working very hard. We had our second meeting on Monday with a room full of, I think, 48 folks that are on the working group, as well as a number of people who came in virtually with us as we work to deliver updated guidance to our school districts across the state of California, creating a new policy on how best to protect our students, how to use AI as a tool to support the work of our educators, as well as help our students. And as we look at professional development and digital literacy and digital learning to ensure that everyone is prepared really also for the jobs of the future, which is really a critical role that this guidance will take in ensuring that our students are prepared for a world where AI will have a significant impact and that they can take part in that. So with that, I will hand over the microphone back to Chief Deputy Director Jared Johnson.
Thank you, Ms. Nicely. So again, thank you, Director Osborne, Mr. Sen, Ms. McPeak, and Deputy Superintendent Nicely for your informative presentations and spotlighting the critical work that is happening at your organizations. With that, as we agreed earlier, we're going to hold comments or questions until the end, and we have reached that point. So I will look to any council members for questions or comments. I am hearing none. So, and nothing online. So with that, thank you again for the presentations. We're going to move now to our community spotlight. I'm sorry, was there an online comment?
Just me. Just Mary. Again, I just want to thank everyone, and I would love to be able to connect with each one of you on what you talked about, because I think these are just such critical issues that we don't get to talk to each other about very much. And I'm so excited for these showcases so that we can say, what are you doing? And I would love to be able to talk to you all. But thank you so much for all these great presentations. Appreciate it.
Thank you for that, Ms. McPeak.
Okay, since Deputy Director Nicely has said that now 4 times, I just want to publicly accept that offer, Mary. Would love to have you at the 2025 School to Home Leadership Academy, the 12th through the 14th in Los Angeles, but really want to work closely with you. So look for email by Monday in your inbox.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. All right, next on our agenda will be a community spotlight from Waska-Wewin's board president, Matt Rantanen, on tribal broadband boot camps. Mr. Rantanen?
Thank you, Chairman and Broadband Council. It's been a while since I've been in the chambers there, and I spent many years sitting in the chairs there supporting your efforts, and it's nice to come back and share with you some things that are happening in the community now. So I think we can move to the next slide, if we will. So I'm going to talk about what's called the Tribal Broadband Boot Camp. And so what is it? It is a convening of multiple tribes that have like-minded goals of creating communications infrastructure in their communities to serve their people, because they have been overlooked or bypassed in the process of the communications rollout, infrastructure rollout over the last decades. They have finally gotten access to some funding through the state of California, through the Department of Commerce, and a few other Department of USDA, and have started to build out their own communications networks. Well, along with those networks comes a lot of pieces and parts and tools like spectrum, like easements and rights of way, and a lot of complicated legal processes and environmental studies and things like that that are a part of the bigger picture. And so during the 2.5 gigahertz window, when the tribes were able to apply for a license, we had a lot of outreach, and that was just happened to coincide with our pandemic. A lot of outreach in support in training, support in how to find funding to support the rollout of that license, and to how to kind of come together around broadband. What did it mean for their communities? So we had sort of just a perfect catalyst of timing and interest to bring together the first tribal broadband boot camp. We were restricted in where we could have it because reservations were still closed because of COVID. So we couldn't go to the reservation to do training. So we had a bunch of people come to my house in Southern California. I have some acreage and we were able to spread out and be safe about it. And we were not a super spreader event, thankfully. We actually had a most amazing first round of just unbelievable interaction between several tribes that were building broadband and trying to get their head around what it meant to manage broadband. So, you know, as the good scientists that we are, we thought, well, we better prove this wrong because there's no way this went as well as it did. We were able to secure funding. We had a second event, blown away at the results. You know, we had some of the repeat tribes show up, and then we added new tribes into the mix. We started bringing in more complicated things like splicing fiber, and then started talking about business plans and, you know, structures of organizations. And then we really kind of hit a stride with what the tribes that were coming in wanted to see and how to grow this organically, really. And the biggest, coolest, most wicked byproduct of this whole thing has been getting these folks together in the room
Hey,
so they
Matt.
can talk about their solution.
Sorry to interrupt you, Matt. We
Sure.
lost Zoom in the chambers.
Oh.
So we're not hearing you there. I can hear you because I'm on here, but can you pause just for 1 second while we get the Zoom back up? I apologize.
No worries. And let me know where I left off.
Absolutely.
All right, Matt, we are back on.
Okay.
Sorry for the interruption.
It's all right. Where did you lose me? What was the last thing that I said? Do you remember?
At the moment, we can't hear you, Matt, so let's give the AV team a bit of time to get you connected.
Just give me a heads up if I need to be talking.
We hear you now.
Excellent. All right. Technical difficulties as per expected, right? We love that part of it. So where are we now? I'm just going to jump into that phase of the boot camps. We are at event 20. We are over 4 years in the process of doing this. We are roughly 450 attendees, 85 tribes. We have funding for the next 3 years, which is amazing in this day and age. It is not federal funding. It is primarily philanthropic funding and support from friends within the industry, and very excited about that. And you know, you've been able to read this slide. You know, some of the key points is a 3-day extensive learning experience. It is not a conference. You will be engaged from the word go. And, you know, a lot of folks come in and say, oh, I thought I had time to like maybe, I don't know, you know, read my email and do that kind of stuff. And they're like, I haven't even had a chance to open my computer. So it's wonderful. Let's go to the next slide. I can't remember if there is one more slide. Yeah, so we're going to do a quickie video that will kind of give the perspective of what this boot camp is from the attendees. Because I feel like I could talk about it all day long, but I think the real message comes from the people that get to be a participant in that. So let's go ahead and just run this video.
Oh, it's been amazing.
Like the best part about this boot camp is the atmosphere between everyone.
Just the experience of meeting everybody and building relationships and seeing those relationships that they've had, you know, from people that have been doing it for over 20 years, and just so much expertise and experts here.
Like, it's one thing to research it and not have that confirmation that you're understanding it. And at this boot camp, I had the ability to talk to subject matter experts in the area to say, ask the questions that I had while I was researching. And for the most part, I was on, and some of it I was off, so it was nice to get that clarification.
I remember telling my boss, I'm not qualified to come to this, and still, like, everybody, as much as I'm learning, and I know that there's so many people that know more than me, but they explain it in a way that, you know, you don't even realize that in the moment. We're just talking about this thing, and I think the aspect of people teaching with the ability to not be condescending while they do it is a really important thing that Matt and Chris stressed.
Well, thanks for playing that. You know, it's a good atmosphere. We have connected, you know, roughly 85 tribes are talking to each other. And I will just like to highlight one really amazing thing with the tribes that are actually building for the state of California in the Middle Mile Broadband Initiative. The Yurok, the Hoopa, and the Karuk are all three building part of the Middle Mile Broadband Network. Those three tribes don't typically work together on the ground at home, even though they are neighbors that butt up against each other. They all three had technicians and leaders come to the boot camp, and they were blown away with the fact that they were all working on the same projects simultaneously next to each other and didn't really communicate. And then they went home and they started sharing resources. They shared spools of fiber, they shared towers, they shared tower climbers, they share expertise. They bring staff to one community when they need extra people to do a job one day, and then they'll shift back and do the other community on a different timeline. It's phenomenal to get folks together to be able to work on this stuff. Indian country is stronger because of these boot camps in the space of broadband, and I'm happy to say, you know, even outside of California, because we do these all over the U.S., there are over 100 tribal networks actively functioning or being built to function, operated and owned by tribes. So we're super excited about this. So thank you for letting me showcase that a little bit. The next one is November 3rd through 6th at my place in Southern California. And it looks like we'll be in Seminole, Florida in January, Alaska in April, and we're setting a couple more, and then we'll circle back to California. We're hoping to do a second boot camp hosted by the Hoopa Valley tribe, who was hosted in the past, and get to showcase some of the things they've built for the state of California. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Antenin. And again, apologies for the technical difficulties, and kudos to the team on site here that was able to get us back and going very quickly. So appreciate that. So with that, do any council members have questions for Mr. Antenin? Commissioner Houck?
Not so much a question, but I just wanted to say that I participated in one of the broadband boot camps, and it was one of the best experiences I've had in learning about telecommunications. And I know a lot of our state staff may have policy experience, but they've never actually maybe seen what fiber looks like or what splicing means, or talking about some of the issues that are really discussed in the hands-on experience you get when you attend one of these boot camps. And I have been advocating that we bring Matt's team in to do like a mini version of this at the PUC, and maybe join with CDT to do that, because I think it's really worth the experience, and would highly recommend anyone working in this area to, if they have an opportunity, to attend to do it. And just really appreciate all of the work Matt's doing out in Indian country, out in the community, and just seeing the different efforts that tribes are doing to take on and exercise their sovereignty and expand their ability to develop these communication companies, like what Hoopa's doing with Acorn, is really inspiring to see firsthand.
Thank you, Commissioner, for the kind comments. I think we're lucky enough to have some CPUC staff and potentially some CDT staff showing up to the next one. So we'll look forward to that.
Thank you. Ms. McPeak.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Matthew, for being such a trailblazer in this whole space of getting everybody connected, advancing digital equity. You know, when I first met Matthew, he was then doing all this work and heading up Tribal Digital Village. And he was doing that long before the California Emerging Technology Fund was directed to be established by the Public Utilities Commission, which actually the order was 20 years ago this month. I do want to just underscore the importance of what Matt is doing in these boot camps, and then which is you build that sense of sharing and problem solving and helping each other with building capacity. And that is why Commissioner Houck, the move by the Public Utilities Commission to invest in the tribal consortia, I think are very important. The capacity does not just happen without an investment in bringing people together. And I hearken back and think about the 20th of the workshops we did for the digital equity plan that was in San Diego. You were there leading it with Secretary Christina Snyder Ashtari, and there were extraordinarily expert voices from the tribes who were really talking about the need for more capacity. So we've got to invest in that, which is the leadership that comes from people. Maybe AI can help that, but with all due respect, there is no substitute for actual people on the ground working together. So that's my one comment, that this testimony and report from Matt is just reinforcing the importance of all of this work and getting the capacity on the ground where it counts, with people working together in communities of practice.
Thank you, Sunny.
Thank you. I am not seeing any other comments or questions. So again, Mr. Rantanen, thank you for your presentation.
I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
So the last item on the agenda is a staff recommendation on the 2026 focus and meeting schedule. Adoption of the work plan will require a vote of the council. So we will bring again Deputy Director Adams.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, council members. So as we do at the last meeting of the year, we have a vote on our council focus and meeting schedule. The staff recommendation is as follows: that per the Broadband Action Plan, we conduct the annual action plan review and revision process, that we continue to provide updates on the California Broadband for All initiatives, that we continue with the member and community spotlights, and that we conduct our quarterly meetings on the fourth Fridays of the months of January, April, July, and October.
All right.
Thank you.
All members in favor of the motion, please say aye. Chief Deputy Director Johnson.
Aye. We get out of order there, Ms. Nguyen.
Is there a motion for the vote?
I loved you just taking the reins and moving ahead, though, Anne. Let's just do it.
We do as we're told, right?
We do, yes. Okay. I'll second a motion by another member.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Jason.
All right, Ms. Nguyen, do you want to resume?
Yes, thank you so much. All members in favor of the motion, please say aye. Chief Deputy Director Johnson.
Aye.
Commissioner Houck.
Aye.
Thank you. Deputy Director Yarborough.
Aye.
Deputy Secretary Nicely.
Aye.
Thank you. Chief Deputy Director Kenny.
Aye.
Undersecretary Hacker.
Aye.
Ms. McPeak.
Aye.
Deputy Secretary Flores. Mr. Chisholm.
Aye.
Mr. Park.
Aye.
Senator Becker. Assemblymember Gibson. Okay. Chief Deputy Director Johnson, the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Ms. Nguyen. Thank you to the council members for your votes. In 2026, the CBC will continue to focus on the annual action plan, review and revision, and various Broadband for All initiatives and updates. Meetings will take place, as Mr. Adams mentioned, in January, April, July, and October. Now we will move to public comment. Ms. Nguyen, will you please provide the public comment guidelines and begin the public comment?
To ensure everyone who wishes to make public comment can do so, we respectfully request one person per entity and 2 minutes per person. The order of public comments will be in-person comments, Zoom and phone comments, and emailed comments submitted prior to the meeting. For in-person comments, please form a line at the podium. For Zoom, please prepare to use the raise hand feature in the lower toolbar. For phone, please prepare to press *9 to raise your hand. Emailed comments received prior to the meeting will be read at the end. All right, we will start the first person in line at the podium.
Good morning, council members and state partners. My name is Patrick Messick, Director of Oakland Undivided. The national crisis has arrived at our doorstep. Yesterday, helicopters whirred overhead as ICE and the military deployed into the East Bay. Terror campaigns that will disproportionately target our least connected communities. Communities deprived of access to information and resources at a time when they need it most. The feds won't save us. The Trump administration already canceled the Bay Area's $12 million digital equity competitive grant, calling it a, quote, racist woke handout. Project 2025 author and FCC Chairman Brendan Carr terminated the E-rate student connectivity program, threatening to disconnect thousands of Oakland young people. Incumbent providers won't save us. The prohibitive cost of service is by far the greatest barrier to connectivity across the state, with average Bay Area residents paying over $90 a month for service. Oakland's monopolistic provider has contributed more to the literal destruction of the White House's East Wing and Trump's ballroom than to our least connected communities. State and regional coordination is our best opportunity to bridge this tenuous moment. Oakland commends CDT and the PUC's historic progress to build out the fiber infrastructure. However, physical infrastructure is only glass in the ground without human infrastructure to connect and support the neighbors we know best. On this front, I raise 2 urgent opportunities that demand the CBC's immediate attention. First, the CASIF Regional Broadband Consortium account. For over a year, Regional Broadband Consortium for all 4 corners of the state have rung the alarm about the suffocating administrative burden of the CASIF RBC account. The PUC recently announced that a protracted proceeding on the account is nearing its end. You can imagine our shock when the proposed decision inexplicably recommends adding to, not alleviating the grant's burdensome requirements. Absent significant revision, with the commission vote happening as soon as next week, this proposed decision poses an existential threat to RBCs across the state, threatening to dismantle diverse ecosystems and hard-earned institutional wisdom. Second, the Verizon merger settlement. The consumers and communities most impacted by the consolidation of broadband markets have no clear path to benefit from this multi-million-dollar settlement. With the demise of CalDEP and the inaccessibility of CASA funding, the merger agreement must direct the tens of millions of dollars intended for public benefit to the trusted institutions and organizations that stand ready to implement local solutions that meet their neighbors' needs best. This moment requires CBC action as California faces the immediate risk of backsliding into pre-pandemic digital divide. To reiterate, 1, make the RBC account make sense. 2, specifically articulate how the merger agreement will empower local solutions. Thank you.
I don't see anyone else in line at the moment, so we'll move on to comments via Zoom, via raise hands or call in. I have Mr. Jonathan Alvarado. Please come off mute.
Perfect. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. Good morning, Chair and Council members. I'm Jonathan Alvarado with the CWA District 9 Apprenticeship and Training Trust, or the Apprenticeship Program. Our program places registered telecom apprentices on public works across California. Statewide, we're seeing a consistent compliance gap. Contractors often file the DAS 140 or 142 forms, the request for apprentices, but don't actually use the apprentices on site, even when contacted by programs like ours. Some certified payrolls list apprentices. Another problem is some certified payrolls list apprentices who are not registered with any program, It's just incumbent workers that they have deemed apprentices with no prior approval by the DAS. Third, awarding bodies rarely verify apprenticeship utilization before notice to proceed, progress payments, or closeout. Programs like ours have no simple project notice or flag or identifiers that tell us the that identifies telecom scope public works so that we can target outreach and dispatch to the right jobs. And to be clear, this is not about adding new laws, it's about making the existing rules work and enforcing them so projects can stay on schedules, workers are trained safely, and communities get quality builds, as well as residents in the area are trained to perform the jobs in their area. Three ways that I've identified that the council can support. The first being pre-award apprenticeship utilization plans, requiring primary contractors to submit a simple plan, apprenticeable crafts, ratios, program contacts, and the DAS 140 and 142 reference numbers. If there's no plan, then the program shouldn't go forward. Second, project notice or flags and spot checks. We need to stand up a basic project flag, a filtered list or export that identifies telecom relevant public works by county with primary and subcontractors with their information. Pair it with monthly spot checks, 5 to 10 is my estimate that we can do projects statewide, and confirm a registered apprentice number with the program and compare it to the certified payroll to confirm that they are following or that they are being compliant. Payment guardrails, third, payment guardrails to cure quickly. At a standard withholding trigger, or so adding a standard withholding trigger. So if a contractor
Mr. Alvarado, your 2 minutes up. Thank you for your comment. We have a next public comment on Zoom. Maria Skelton, please unmute.
Good morning. Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. My name is Maria Skelton. I would just like to say thank you for having these meetings. I came across an email and I started attending your past maybe 3 or 4 meetings. So thank you so much. I applaud the whole board and staff and everyone to continue to work hard and keep up the good work of what you're doing. I am learning a lot about this situation by attending the meetings. Thank you so much for having these meetings. I truly appreciate everyone and what you do, and please keep up the good work. Once again, thank you again from Maria Skelton.
Thank you for your comment. We have a third Zoom comment. Lindsay Skolnick, please unmute yourself.
Good morning, members of the council. My name is Lindsay Skolnick. I'm here speaking on behalf of the California Alliance for Digital Equity, also known as CADE. First, I want to applaud the CPUC for advancing its home broadband pilot program under the Lifeline program to offer eligible residents relief with their internet bills. In a post-ACP world, it is essential that the state identifies ways to ensure low-income residents have internet access, and this is a significant step forward in that direction. Second, we're pleased to hear of the progress made on the Middle Mile network, yet we're hoping to learn more a little about the network's long-term operational plans and sustainability. To that end, we'd like to reiterate the legislator's call for CDT to present the business plan for the Middle Mile network. To ensure the project is viable for years to come, we're looking for additional clarity and info regarding the estimated revenues and expenditures expected during full operation of the network. Additionally, we'd like a bit more information regarding the responsibilities of the TPA and the separate operator of the MMBN to get a sense of how they'll work together to implement operational policies. Finally, we urge CDT to share any more details about operational plans that will ensure the network is affordable. We're eager to see the MMBN incorporate a differential pricing structure that actively incentivizes build out in low revenue, high density communities, as well as anti-monopolization protections. We hope that this requested information can be shared at the upcoming MMBN stakeholder meeting on the 31st to better understand these critical operation decisions that are being made within CDT. Thank you for your time and consideration of my comments.
Thank you for your comment. As of right now, we have no more Zoom comments, so I'll proceed to read public comments emailed prior to the meeting. Dear leaders, my name is Tratrice Lewis, and along with Carly Nibbit-Stokes, a commissioner on the San Diego Commission on the Status of Women, have developed a new digital literacy initiative called Community Connections Digital. Our mission is to close the digital divide in California by bringing a fully equipped mobile classroom directly to communities in need. We are currently in the process of applying for the CASF grant, and we believe that a partnership with your group would be invaluable. We are seeking your support to help us reach communities where our program can have the greatest impact. Our innovative program provides a variety of free resources, including hands-on digital literacy training sessions, including essential computer skills and the use of AI, access to our self-paced online learning management system, LMS, a system with signing up for state-subsidized low-cost internet services, free devices such as hotspots, laptops, and tablets for eligible participants. We would be grateful for the opportunity to share more about Community Connections Digital and explore how we can work together. Is it possible that we may be invited to your next meeting, or perhaps would you or a member of your team be available for a brief presentation or conversation to discuss our program and how it aligns with your goals? Thank you for your time and consideration. Tratrice Lewis, co-founders of Jan's Dreams. That wraps up public comments that was emailed prior to the meeting. I'm circling back to make sure that we haven't missed anyone in person and on Zoom. Okay. All right. And we have one more emailed comment. Dear California Broadband Council, I am a resident of Northwood, California. Permission to omit the specific of their address. Community, I'm writing to raise serious concerns about the ongoing lack of fiber broadband access and the lack of affordable provider choices in my area. Currently, my home only has access to Spectrum cable, no fiber, and no alternatives. AT&T and Spectrum appear to have created a functional monopoly that limits both access and affordability. Providers like Sonic.com, which offer affordable fiber at $49.99 a month for 10 gigabytes, are completely unavailable here. Was also told by a rep for Frontier that AT&T owns most of the copper, also making getting VoIP numbers ported out impossible from AT&T. Much of the boulevard and the surrounding areas, especially heading north towards Sun Valley, remain unserved by fiber and trapped in legacy cable or DSL offerings. This situation not only affects speed and quality of service, but pricing and equity. While other neighborhoods have competitive gigabyte fiber options at reasonable prices, working class and mobile home communities like mine are left behind. A clear example of digital redlining. I respectfully ask the California Broadband Council to 1, investigate the absence of affordable fiber providers like Sonic in the 91605 corridor, prioritize this region for inclusion in BEAD and other broadband grant programs, assess whether market conditions, including AT&T and Spectrum dominance, are blocking competitor. 4, include mobile home communities in digital equity and infrastructure planning efforts. I'm happy to assist with any broadband mapping challenges, data collection, or advocacy efforts to support progress in this area. Thank you for your ongoing work to close the digital divide in California. Sincerely, Francisco Frank Montes. Omit their address and email addresses. Chief Deputy Director Johnson, that concludes public comment.
Thank you so much, Ms. Nguyen. So before we close the meeting, are there any final comments from our council members? Seeing none, so we will proceed to closing out the meeting. Again, I want to thank the council members and presenters for their contributions today, and to the members of the public for your thoughtful comments. I am proud of our collective accomplishments and in this council's unwavering commitment to broadband for all Californians. I also want to express my gratitude for those working so diligently to move things forward, including the staff at both CDT and Covered California working behind the scenes to support the California Broadband Council. Your work is valued and you will make great contributions to advancing broadband for all. Our next meeting is scheduled for Friday, January 23rd, 2026, starting at 9:30 a.m. I look forward to seeing everyone then. With that, we will conclude today's meeting of the California Broadband Council. Thank you.